Buttercup. Welcome back to my channel. Today's book review is After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and this is really going to be more of a discussion video because I just need to talk about some stuff in this novel. But side note, there are these 2 dogs that will not stop barking, and they have been barking for 5 hours straight. I can't do anything about it. I apologize in advance, but you might hear some barking, like right now. Oh my god. Hopefully you don't hear it that much, or it's not as loud, but I apologize. I don't know what to do with those dogs. They're new, they're missing mommy and daddy, and that's unfortunate that the owners decided to leave them outside all day. That's a different topic, not relating to books, so we're just gonna go into the summary before a discussion. Now, it follows Ryan and Lauren, and they're having problems with their marriage after 11 years together. Lauren, at 19, met Ryan, and he's around the same age, maybe like a year older, but they're basically the same age. They met in college, and then right after college they got married, and there's some problems by year 11. So then they decide to break up, not divorce, but, well, they say separate. So they decide to separate for a full year, and they don't talk to each other at all for that year. And then they're going to come back after that 1 year is up and see if they want to stay together. When I was reading this book, I was like, okay, that means that you all are gonna sleep with other people, right? And that totally happened. And there are some couples that is not a problem for them, like Ryan and Lauren, but I don't see the majority of people saying a-okay with that, even if you're separated, because they both were saying we need time apart from one another because we can't stand each other anymore. Okay. More to come on that. And so we're gonna separate because we love each other, but we can't stand each other, and we love-hate each other at this point. Interesting. For the end of the novel, which I totally agree with, is that Lauren's grandmother tells her, you know, you could have just taken vacations away from each other, right? You knew that could be a thing. Their problem is that they spent every waking hour together, and other than work and other than like a few hours with their friends, the whole time they were together for 11 years. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. Another thing that's not healthy was Ryan hates blue and yellow. And so they would fight if there was blue and yellow furniture, paintings, plates, and bowls. And so there's no blue and yellow in their house. Okay, that was in the beginning of the novel. And so I put down my book and I turned to my husband and I said, I have something for you because I really can't. And so I described the situation. He was like, that's a total red flag. You're really gonna get that upset over 2 primary colors. It's not like it's apricots. It's not like it's mint. Like, it's blue and yellow. And so he was like, well, first off, I wouldn't have married that person to begin with, because this is a thing that healthy couples do before they get married, is they sit down and talk about finances, family, religion, politics, small things that bother them, big things that bother them, anything else, just all of that and more. And so Lauren's upset that she can't have blue and yellow stuff in the house. You didn't seem to talk about that before? I don't understand. And then she's also talking to her friend Mila, who's married and she has a few kids with her wife. And so Mila says, no candles, no floral print, but they can have flowers, and like her wife wants her to bring her flowers, but no floral print, okay? Including on clothing, including work clothing. And then she has to wear sexy underwear at all times. I have a problem. I don't know about that one. The first one about candles, I can understand a little bit, especially if you're sensitive or allergic to certain smells. Totally fine. The floral thing, that's the same thing about the blue and the yellow, but you want flowers, but not floral. And then you're gonna fight about it if there's floral print in the house. That's another red flag. Another red flag for Mila. Now we're talking about Mila, not Lauren, but Mila and her wife, sexy underwear only. And so Mila hates it and she's annoyed about it, but she does it to make her wife happy. But then, you know, a few chapters in, we come to find out that Mila's relationship is also a little rocky. So there's a lot of red flags. I don't know. I want to know what constitutes as sexy underwear. And if so, why am I wearing it to bed? Like to sleep in. Now, sexy time would be different, okay? But I'm not sleeping in lace underwear. I'm not. It's not gonna happen. And so there is a great example about clothing. I wear beanies. Y'all love the beanies. And my husband does not like the look of beanies. And so we talked about it, and then he was like, yeah, I don't like it. And I'm like, well, I love it. And so I keep the beanies, and unless it's really cold out, which happens sometimes, and we're going out somewhere, then I don't really wear the beanies around. And that's it. And even if I'm wearing a beanie when it's freezing out, he doesn't say anything because he knows I love him. And I know he doesn't like them, but it's freezing out. So that's called compromise, right? I'm not walking around in beanies all the time. Plus, it's too hot right now. But I don't usually walk around in beanies anyway. I'm not too big of a hat person, but the ones that I have in particular I really like. But it was never, we're gonna have fights about it. It was never, I'm gonna throw these beanies out for you and then we're gonna have another fight because you just took my property and threw it out. No, it was, we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna come to a compromise, and that is what we have right now. He is indifferent to the beanies, and I love the beanies, but I don't wear them all the time. And when I do wear them all the time, he's not around. Now, I know a lot of people have problems with compromising, and in the beginning, I had problems with compromising as well. However, it is a relationship, and that means two people for, in this case and in this novel. So it is a team. It is not always 50-50 though. So like, for example, right now I have the sciatica problem, and he's going to be taking about like 70% of the work, you know, because I can't do a lot of the work. But, you know, when he was in classes for 6 weeks out of the state, well, then it was 100% my work because he was out of the state. So yeah, of course I'm cleaning and I'm cooking. I'm cooking for myself, but I'm cleaning and cooking in the house. But then when he came back, it was about, let's say, he needed to decompress a little bit because the classes were really intense. I was at 75%, and then it moved, you know, to the scale up and down. So when people say, oh, it's 50-50, no, it's a moving scale. Just like how compromise, it's a moving scale. And it's going to change day by day sometimes, week by week, month by month, year by year. I think when you get into a routine, you can get really stuck and you can get complacent, honestly, and it gets boring. And so when Lauren's grandmother said, you need to get away from your husband. That's not saying that he sucks. It's that it's you time, and maybe you're bringing your friends or your family, whatever, but you're working on decompressing and just learning even a little bit about yourself. Like, how do you travel with your sister? How do you travel with Mila, your friend, and maybe she takes her kids, maybe she takes just her wife, I don't know. You experience different things. You need to experience things on your own and experience things with your spouse. And it's the same thing with spouse. The spouse needs to figure stuff out and experience things on their own, and then same thing together. I've gone to day trips or weekend trips or, weeks trips without him, and it was a fantastic time. And also, he gets to have a fantastic time by himself. Lauren and Ryan got into such a bad routine of getting up, going to work, seeing each other, and then doing the same thing. Like, there was nothing in those 11 years that made it fun or spontaneous or anything. And I think that was really one of their big problems. Then the other thing was communication. There was a whole thing about sex, and that really is, it's one of the top 3 of why couples break up. The other one is finance, and I forget the third one. But top 3, it's sex and finance. They didn't really have to deal with finance. I forget whatever the number 3 is for when couples break up. And the sex part was Ryan saying that they haven't had sex in 5 months, and I need to have sex. But then Lauren was like, you just jackhammer. What about me? I'm just like, yes, what about you? What about you together? Both your needs and your wants. Why don't you talk to each other? Like, I say, like, almost everything to my husband, and he shares a lot of stuff with me. I say a lot of stuff and not almost everything because I talk a lot, which you may or may not be surprised about that. I don't know. I think it depends on how much we've interacted on a one-to-one level. But I talk a lot and I share a lot of stuff. That's just how I am. I like to share like details about a lot of stuff. Also like talking about marketing my books and writing my books and editing. And, oh, I talked to this person about setting up an interview today. And he doesn't really, he doesn't have extra stuff like that going on with his work. And his friends kind of just do like the same thing he does, whereas I have kind of like an eclectic friendship, what we do, differently regarding jobs and hobbies and all that stuff. So I chit chat a lot. And then I also will say, I don't like what's going on right now. Let's talk about it. Or I don't want to have pho, I want Chipotle. And he's like, well, I don't want Chipotle and I don't really want pho either, so do you want pizza? And I'm like, okay, we're gonna go with pizza. Ryan and Lauren couldn't even talk about their wants with food. Come on now, people. Like, they were giving up their wants for just even like their takeout nights. And then it was a huge fight about, I hate Greek food and Thai food, and why can't we go to this Chinese restaurant more? And Lauren's like, your Chinese restaurant sucks, and why can't you be more into different cuisines? And you didn't need that. You just talk about what you're feeling and what you're thinking, not in a mean way, not in a disrespectful way, but you need to talk about stuff because you hold it in. They were just holding it all in until they couldn't stand each other, and they hate each other, but they also loved each other, and then they had to break up for that year. You don't want to get to that point. And I thought something that was funny that I don't know if I don't agree with, but I think it was really funny. It was kind of like an old school thing. Grandma, of course, she's like 85, so yeah. She was talking about how her and her husband, who's deceased, and Lauren's grandfather, they weren't always happy. And it got boring sometimes. And that's when, you know, she went to a 4-day spa by herself or with someone else. Or they went to a cocktail party and she just mingled with all the men, and he mingled with all the women, and they, you know, they flirted, and they saw that they were flirting at the cocktail party, indicating that other people are interested, and there's actually like sexuality that can be sensed, or whatever she said. And if you're not feeling it anymore with your husband or your wife, then go to a cocktail party or feel very differently, because people are going to flirt with your husband or your wife. And that spices things up. I was like, okay, Grandma, that's dirty. Oh. But I read that and I was like, that's cheeky. Okay. I'm not doing that, but glad you're honest about it. And that was an honesty between her and her husband. It wasn't like her husband didn't know about that. They both went to that cocktail party and they were flirting. Now, it depends what you think is cheating. They don't think that is cheating at all. So it worked for them. Not saying you need to do that cocktail party trick that the grandma said Lauren should have done before she separated, but compromising, talking about it. You need to talk about your wants and your needs and your dreams, or else you're not going to get anywhere. And sometimes it's going to be really hard. And a really great point that a lot of people don't want to hear, just in general, but also about relationships, is you're not always going to be happy. Everything is temporary. You're going to be happy one moment and then sad another moment and stressed another moment, just as life happens. So why would you expect a relationship to be always happy and always positive when that's not how you, human being, or any human beings work? You're not going to feel happiness for a really extended amount of time, like that feeling of joy or ecstasy. Sometimes you're going to feel stressed out because work was really busy and you couldn't do all of your assignments, so you're stressed out for the next day and you feel no happiness until you actually get all your work done. And I'm like, okay, great. And then, you know, you go out for cocktails with your best friends after work and now you're happy. I think that is really important to remember. And, you know, also that working on your relationship, which they finally figure out, hallelujah, at the end, is work. And it's going to be different for every single different relationship and marriage, but it's still about compromise. It's still about being honest. It's still about being respectful and kind. And also, yes, being open-minded as well as compromising, though that's kind of a little bit connected. But you need those things for a happy marriage, a successful marriage, and realizing that you are two individuals, but what's important is that you're choosing to be together. I think what really resonated with me at the end of the novel was Lauren finally figured out that you can survive on your own, because yes, Lauren, you make a lot of money, but do you want to? Because she also got into this routine of working, going home, watching TV with her dog, and then going to sleep. And she was really lonely and just didn't do anything. Then she forced herself to get into running, and she was hanging out with family. She could absolutely be single for the rest of her life and do that all by her lonesome. But she realized, no, I want to have this and all the problems and all the good with Ryan. I had a conversation a long time ago, and I've had a few conversations the same with my husband, where he said, I want you to want to be here. I don't want you to stay because you have to, because of financial reasons. And this was during COVID. Like, hi, okay. And we just talk so much. What do you have to do when you're locked in, right? And he was like, you know, I want you to want to be here just like I want to be here with you, even though I can support myself and I can go and do my own thing. The same for you. I want you to be independent because I want you to be your own person, but, you know, together, collectively, want to be here. And that is a choice, not I need to be or else I will be homeless. And that is what Lauren finally figured out. And that's where it says, and I know a lot of people don't like this saying, but love is a choice. In some ways, yes, it is a choice. So that the loving feeling, not a choice. You working on a problem that is really hard for you and upsetting with your partner, and then getting through it, that's a choice, because you could give up. You could get a divorce, you know, or you could just like hand him over all financial control because you don't want to, you know, talk about a budget or whatever. There's a lot of things where you could just give up and give it over to the spouse, or you all don't do it at all. So that is when we were talking about love as a choice, not like the feelings. Because you're going to feel annoyed, you're going to be happy, you're going to be sad, you're going to be disappointed, frustrated, even angry, but it's your reaction to it that's really important. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars because I wasn't a huge fan about those red flags. I'm not going to marry someone that will fight over blue and yellow in your house. Like the pick your battles type of thing. He decided to really go hard on fighting every time there's blue and yellow in the house. That's a problem. And it leads to other problems, like him being pretty selfish. She's naive. He's selfish. And not even like, you could read up on certain stuff. Not like he's not letting you. You are your own person. You can decide stuff as well. Like, they're both wrong. And then also, because of those weird decisions and the weird the weird issues that they fight over, and also separating for a year and then like having sex with a lot of other people, didn't really connect with them. I don't really think that Ryan is a good love interest. I actually kind of preferred David when Lauren was seeing David, but he was still up on his ex-wife who cheated on him. And then Lauren said, oh, you should call her and maybe take her back. I'm like, no, Lauren, no, he shouldn't. But that is a choice that David has to make. And now, there are a lot of people that they cheat once and then, you know, you go to couples therapy and it works out. David, that's not his line, come to find out, so he probably is trying to get back with his ex-wife. I kind of like David and Lauren, and I don't really care all that much about Ryan. He just kind of bothers me with a lot of things that he says and does, and the entitlement that he has a lot of the time. Oh my god. So that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but they were interesting enough that I gave it 4 stars, and interesting enough that I really felt for Lauren at the end. Not necessarily Ryan, but I felt for Lauren, and she got into the right direction. She got there. That love is a choice, and you got to work on it. And it's all about wanting to be in that marriage, not needing, for various reasons, to be in the marriage. Key point. So I do think that that is a great message, because I think a lot of people are surprised, especially nowadays where like divorce is like 50% or higher in the United States. I've been with JC for 6 years, but we just recently got married. And sometimes it's a struggle bus, but life's a struggle bus. But I think there's a lot of people, especially younger people, that have been in 1 or 2 relationships and they don't understand that it's okay to have problems in a relationship as long as they're fixed or resolved in some way. And if that means you need a couples therapist, yes, absolutely. Sometimes you need to pay someone to be unbiased. Makes sense. Especially if you can't, like, there's something like really tight, like finances or sex, and you need to really, like, it's not figuring itself out. Pay someone to help you. Yeah. Sometimes that's the way to go. And there's no shame about that. Absolutely no shame. As long as it's done in a safe and healthy way, we are good to go. It might take a while, but that's fine. I mean, you're in it for the long haul. If it takes a few months to resolve this big issue or like many minor issues, it's worth it. And getting to the point of wanting to be in the relationship, not needing or desperately needing to be in the relationship, that's really important. Thank you for watching my relationship coach / book review video. I hope you enjoyed it and got a little information about relationships and marriage from this. If not, sorry, but I had to say what I had to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.